Okay, we're going to call the meeting back to order. We'll resume with the item we added to the agenda being the Big Valley ambulance service. So we'll start off with it.
Sure. I think Aaron can articulate the need for this district to be formed in the area. As far as, just quickly to address the reason why it's on today's agenda. This resolution was truly in draft form until yesterday at about 4 o'clock. We had conflicting names of the district and other internal conflicts in the documents that we were able to reconcile yesterday. I would like to note that there's a legal description that was prepared, I believe, by John Benoit with LAFCO. And I make no representations to the accuracy of that legal description. I think it can be reviewed at a later date, and I think it depicts the blue area on the map for those of you that haven't seen it. But I just wanted to make that note for the record. And the resolution is simply in support of the application to LAFCO to form the district and get the ball rolling.
It'll be up to LAFCO to vet the information. And it was discussed at the December 9th LAFCO meeting that they can only handle this if both either, I think it was either or both Modoc County Board and this board sponsored the resolution.
And a good point, it is on the agenda in Modoc County today as well. The one fiscal impact that I don't think is truly significant but should be noted is that if for some reason the election goes forward and the measure fails, the county will be on the hook for the cost of the election. If it passes, the county will be reimbursed by the district. That's the only fiscal impact that I see with the resolution.
That has happened before numerous times when the county did that.
And as to the other details of the district, I'll let others comment on that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Clinton Davis, co-chair of the Big Valley EMS Working Group. I'm here to try to answer the questions that you have. We already are sold on the idea that we do need advanced life support ambulance service in the Big Valley area. It does affect all the outlying areas as well as Big Valley. There were handouts sent. I was under the impression you would all have them, but then the meeting was postponed, so I don't know if you do or not.
They've got the resolution
Excellent.
and the exhibits.
Yes, there was a mad scramble yesterday to try to remove discrepancies in the resolution. The intent was still the same, but we try to keep the wording consistent so that you can feel comfortable passing it. Is there any questions that I can answer for this organization? I don't want to stand here and plead our need for it because that's well known.
I spoke with Dan Bouse yesterday at length, and he answered all my questions.
Okay.
So,
Good.
I've had several phone calls from people.
yeah.
Really?
All right.
Good job.
Yeah.
I've been handing out $5 bills.
Yeah, just the only question I have, and I'm looking at the map here and trying to, obviously with the townships and all that, I can delineate where 299 comes through, and I can delineate where 139 is, and 395. And except for this little corner here, as a point of reference, is this Termo here?
It's just on the outskirts of Termo.
Okay, so it's not including Termo?
That was, no, it does not exactly go, we tried to base it on our response area, and the response area goes down to the school on Grasshopper Road, but it actually doesn't go in to Termo.
Because I know at the LAFCO meeting, one of the things that was highlighted was the fact that they were able, Madeline is basically served out of Alturas likely
Right.
in terms of being there, and Ravendale is kind of the northern reaches of the Susanville service area coming out, even though P.L. Cantrell was known to ride from likely all the way down to the horse corrals to help rescue somebody willing to do that. But Termo, which is kind of
Yeah.
like right there in the middle, was sort of kind of like
Well-
no man's land, and so the intent was to incorporate that as part of this response area. So that's what my question is. That's
The,
obviously something LAFCO will have to really maybe focus on.
the feeling was, we did not want to overtax people that are in another area. We will respond whether they're in our area or not. The response, this boundary is strictly for taxing purposes, it does not limit the response of the ambulance.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
true of all of them.
And
for that
all of
matter.
them,
Yeah.
correct. And,
But if Termo is not really being served by either the one from the north or the one from the south, and I think that was the point that was made in the LAFCO discussion in December, and even prior to the
Right.
December, they had a previous discussion, was the ability to be able to kind of tuck that one in so that it would be, and if they're going to be potentially served, because you're the closest responder, because you are closer, which I found at first kind of hard to believe, but when you actually looked at the map and calculating the distance, you really are, then it really did make sense to, you know, reach into, and I think the people who are in the immediate Termo, maybe not beyond out as you're heading towards the Nevada border, those folks probably would not be needed, but I think the people in Termo ought to be maybe possibly considered. Has anybody talked to them?
A little bit about this map is that, you know, a lot of it was drawn because it was a time frame. So if you look at it, it's pretty squared off. And to make the description a lot easier. And also if you go into the town of Termo, once you get past the school going toward Termo from Aden, there's, nobody lives there. I mean, all of it from the school back to the west is where the population is. The town of Termo, yes, there's a town there, but nobody, quote, lives there. And so that's,
I may have this wrong, but I thought the district boundaries were drawn to be coterminous with other
with other districts.
That's what I
districts.
thought too.
they are, but that area is, there's a little space that's like no man's land.
Yeah, that was what LAFCO was focusing on, because they're gonna be concerned more about, I mean, I'm just trying to kind of pre-guess what I think LAFCO's gonna get into, but they're gonna be looking at how those non-served areas would be included.
Well, our conversation with John Benoit was that we will go to the area that we typically serviced, was just this side of Termo. We never really did include Termo, and stayed within the boundaries, tried to keep, like Aaron said, if you notice, we spent a lot of time with the assessor's office, making sure we weren't splitting parcels, which, I don't know who designed the parcels, but I think they designed car parts too. It's crazy sometimes. And so we think we have all that resolved.
I appreciate the clarification, because the impression I had from the previous discussions that LAFCO had was that would be included. And I appreciate your reasoning why, so that's good.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah, okay. Violet?
Well, I understand nobody owns Termo then, or where does it belong, or can I give it back to Nevada and build a big casino, then they'll want it.
I'd move it down to Little Valley.
Who does it belong to?
It's privately owned, but nobody lives in Violet. To
I
my-
know,
to
but
my
who
knowledge.
owns the property?
I think it's Cletus somebody, I forget his last name, but Cletus is the name. Last guy I knew that owned it.
But who does the land belong to?
Cletus.
What part of the county, the state, the United States? Who does it belong to?
It's in Lassen County.
It's in the county, it's privately owned.
The county of what?
Lassen.
You're sure? Well, I'll call Nevada and give it back to them.
Richard, I'm sure, is sure, because he goes out collecting taxes or resells the property.
Well, I try.
I have a question for Richard. Those parcels from that subdivision there, just kind of north of Termo,
Moon Valley.
Moon Valley, where's Moon Valley in relationship to these blue squares? Because those people, they come up from Southern California and buy it, thinking they've got, you know, Shangri-La, and then they...
I don't see the Termo Grasshopper Road on here. They're,
This is Termo Grasshopper.
generally speaking, due north of Termo Grasshopper Road.
Termo Grasshopper's up towards the north side. The Moon Valley, I believe, was part of the district.
'Cause I was
It
gonna
looks
say-
like it's part of the district.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me too, and I was gonna say, is that a smart thing to do, because they never pay their taxes, so if you have a fee like this, that you're gonna be depending on your budgets to collect, and they notoriously wind up going to tax sale there, you know, I think,
It's,
from
it's
these
an,
folks' sake,
it's an issue to consider.
We factored that into the overall picture. We knew there would be a percentage. We learned from the Calpine experience.
right, this is kind of like
Exact same
a Alpine thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been factored into
Okay,
the budget.
good, as long as you have that understanding, I just
Oh, yeah.
saw that jump out.
I'm gonna call the rest of the names here on this issue, but I think it's pretty clear already. You could get a sense of the board's support, so you don't really need to try and, I mean,
Lobby you?
yeah, feel free to make comments, but if that said, I'll call Robert Nelson.
I'm just here in support of the ambulance.
Thank you. Ann Lusk.
I too am supporting the ambulance, and I also want to thank you for the motion on Pumpkin Center Road bridges. You have to cross them every day.
Thank you. Gordon Campbell.
Yeah, I'm in here support of the EMS service district.
Jean
Levinson.
Ludwigson.
I too am here. I'm an RN in the area. I've been in emergency services for 30 years. And I'm an RN now in the Big Valley, Mountain Valley Health Center's clinic in Big Valley, and Beaver. And we need the ambulance. So you've already gotten that. It's beating a dead horse, but it's very important.
Roger, I'll have you, can you just pronounce the last name? I can't read the handwriting, I'm sorry.
Crookshank.
Oh, okay, thank you,
I'm here also in support of the proposed ambulance district.
thank you.
Thank you.
And Sheila Connor, I know I called earlier, but if you had anything more to add.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate and want to thank you all for traveling down for this, and so we'll bring it back to the board, and we're looking for a motion or any discussion.
On the, Richard, on the very last whereas in Clinton, you missed the towns, and New Beaver is misspelled.
We just noticed that. I left it for Jim to catch, and
Well, I just got it handed to me, and I'm sorry I missed it. I haven't got that
we'll
far
correct
yet.
that.
I stopped on the map, and I've been focused on the
And,
map.
so anyway, that was the only glowing error that I saw. Of course, I didn't go over the meets and bounds of the whole thing. And also, I'd like to take this moment to plug the CDF for stepping up and helping out in this time of need. And also to the health clinic down there for you guys. There was a bad accident by a wife of a county employee, and they dropped everything at the clinic, and they went out there and really helped save the gal. She's gonna have a long road to recovery, but anyway. So with that, I will,
I have one, okay.
go ahead.
Before, I was gonna say, in that same whereas, we make references in a couple places there to Termo, but what we just listened to, Termo really isn't being included, so I think maybe we might wanna modify, you know, the territory, includes territory south to Termo, and then you talk about the communities being served, and then after the misspelled New Beaver, you have Termo. So maybe because of what we learned today, we may wanna back away from Termo being a part of the spotlight. It's not that they won't be served, but that's not the intent of the district, so I'd suggest that as a modification.
Delete the term out.
Yeah, you look out at New Beaver and not have Termo in
For
there.
putting near term or something.
And this one here, south, near, to near Termo, I mean, put in near in there so that Termo is not being directly incorporated.
Got it.
But wouldn't, just for discussion, but wouldn't Moon Valley, isn't that part of the terminal community?
Well, and I think the suggestion that we say south to near Termo
Yeah,
would accurately reflect.
right. Because that's what we're doing, we're actually going near Termo, but we're not taking in Termo itself. Because originally I thought we were talking about Termo too.
And I don't know that there are any residents in Termo.
Yes, there is.
At the moment.
A resident in Terminal, in the town of Terminal?
Ed Kranz is Only a stone's throw from there. I mean, I don't know what you call
Well, there's,
proper,
yeah,
but there's a
Where's an
couple
old
of
gas
houses
station,
that
old
may or may not be
yeah,
occupied.
across
but-
the road and out, as you head towards Nevada, Cape the County Road out there, where there's several homes scattered
Yeah.
out through there. So that's all terminal.
That's North Ravenville.
Get a surveyor.
It's Dodge Ranch.
Hey, Jim, I wanted to tell you that about terminal. In talking to the drivers, they use terminal for their stopping point, all three of the terminal, are the ambulance companies. And so terminal, even though it's not in a map, it's part of them because they always stop out there.
So the two ambulances, that's their turnaround?
The three.
Okay, oh, the
Yeah.
three, okay.
So I suggest that near terminal really reflects the area.
Are you okay with that, Sam?
So you can put near terminal on the first part. Lassen County consists of territories surrounding the communities of Aden, Beaver, Lookout, New Beaver.
And leave terminal.
And New Beaver.
Put the and in front of New Beaver.
What do you think, Clinton?
It sounds reasonable.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we're looking for a motion.
I'd move.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The chair votes aye. Resolution passes unanimously. Okay, let's quickly take up item F1, appointments to the Milford Fire District.
I would move, Mr. Chairman, that the reappointments be made.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. F2,
I would move the appointment.
this is for the vacancies on the Stone Boulevard Community Services District Board.
Gotta move approval of
It's been moved and seconded by Supervisor Kyle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. F3 is the vacancies in the Big Valley Recreation District.
I would, here again, move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. Okay, we'll take up the information and consent calendar. Is there,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask that items G3, G5, G8, 9, and 10 be removed for discussion.
I would also ask that G1 for the November.
I'm sorry, Jim, you said 3 and 5?
3, 5, 8, 9, and 10.
Jean?
Jean Hodge, I would like G2 removed for discussion.
2. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the balance of the.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay. We'll take up G1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On G1, this is when we were talking about the Hurdle property out there, and Mr. Pizzullo was at the podium. I asked him if if he was ever told in person or by telephone if the, was it B2 or Building 170 was, if he was ever notified that that was not for sale. And his response was, not that he recalled, but it certainly wasn't in writing. And I think that that should be answered, be noted in the minutes. And also that, I would also like added to the minutes, his response to the letter, handwritten note that he wrote to the county. I believe it was November the 8th, regarding the rents and conditions of the kind of taking that back. But his response to that was just to get, only written to get attention, because the county had not received his request for the insurance. And with those changes, I would move approval of the
Motion, do we have a second?
And that's for all of the minutes, so you're making a motion, or just for
Just
those?
G1.
Just for
G1.
those, that's fine. Second?
It's been moved, do we have a second? Seconded by Supervisor Pyle. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye. That passes unanimously.
When those changes be made, will we get a copy of the revised?
Sure.
Okay.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll take up G2. This is the,
Well, what about the minutes of the 10th and the 17th?
What's that?
The minutes of the
They were
10th?
part of the
Okay.
motion, as
Okay.
he only pulled off November 20th.
okay, G2 is the resolution authorizing the Lassen County Clerk to conduct the federal, state, and local elections. And that's been moved by Dean Marsh.
Oh, that was brought to my attention by a couple of people in our community that the county clerk has a conflict of interest. I don't know if that's true or not, but people are concerned about the fact that she is running for office and running the election. That's what I've been told. So, would you clarify or discuss it and whatever? Thank you.
Loretta, can you speak to that?
Well, it's common in most of the counties that your clerk is an elected official, and she's also the official registrar of voters. So that is a job that is combined throughout 58 counties. I don't know how you separate those two. And I don't know of any conflict. This is the first I've heard of it. If somebody wants to provide me what they see as a conflict, I'll look into it. But that's the first I've heard of it.
So this is done everywhere, where that if they're.
Well, it's done it's done bigger than just
our state.
even the county. The Secretary of State is responsible for overseeing the elections process statewide, and every 4 years, and this year we're gonna be electing a new Secretary of State, and the one that's now there is term limited out, so she won't be able to run, but, the last 4 years ago, she was running for re-election, so she's the one that certifies the election results, including her own election. So, I mean, I don't know what you do short of that. I mean, that's just the way the system has been set up and is operated, not only just here in California, but I think it's probably true throughout. And it's interesting, because even when the electoral votes are counted in the presidential election, the Constitution specifies that the President of the Senate will read the electoral votes. So in 1960, when Richard Nixon was Vice President, same thing with Al Gore in 2000, when that election actually read the electoral votes for their opponents, but then again, if they were running and they got the most electoral votes, they would be presiding over their own election, so to speak. So that's something that has stood the test of time in the court. So obviously, maybe in people's minds there's a conflict of interest because it's the individual, but, that's going to be the case regardless of who's there. And, I mean, the system, I don't, how you change that?
Any further discussion? Alrighty,
I will move approval of G2.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Chair votes aye. We'll take up G3.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I asked that this one be pulled off, and it kind of focuses more on, I'm trying to think how many pages back, well, no, it's kind of midway. It's 1, 2, 4, 6, on the 7th page.
Yeah,
is
I just wanted to quickly just say for the public what G3 is. This G3 is a resolution, it's Lassen County Conflict of Interest Code is what's been pulled. Thank you.
Well, yeah, in the front section, we've got a number of changes because job descriptions have changed, and so we're deleting some and adding others and modifying changes of titles. But on page 7 of the document is a list of all the boards, and we're going to be taking that up later on our agenda as well. But when I was looking at the list, is the Alcohol and Drug Advisory Board and the Mental Health Advisory Board were in essence abolished last July 1, and now we have the Behavioral Health Advisory Board, which is the combination of the two. So we probably should update that list. We also list the Highway 36 Town Hill Safety Task Force, and that was disbanded about, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. It was active for a couple of years, it got its report done, and then it met for a couple of years after that on an annual basis just to make sure that their report didn't get put on some shelf to collect dust. But for all practical purposes, it doesn't exist anymore, and so we might as well take that one off. And then I was on the Transportation Commission, I did find where the Lassen Transit Service Agency, those two are kind of like tandem bodies, but they're both on there, so that's fine. So those were some suggested changes that I would have. And maybe what we might want to do is based on our appointments list. The other one I had on here too, and I was kind of curious. We have the Honey Lake Valley Resources Conservation District listed. And that's a separate entity with a separate board, and
That was Mr. Crabtree, because of all of the confusion way back, it was either Mr. Selmy or Crabtree that had us put it here until they got their own. I don't know if they have their own.
well, they should have their own, and they really shouldn't be part of
Well,
ours. Because
we
they're
were-
not a
they were
subordinate
under us
board.
for that reason at that time.
Okay.
If that needs to be changed, then that's
Well,
fine, but
now
I
that might have
don't
been
know.
fine back then, but I think, well, I mean, I have no problem leaving it on here, but I think rather than leaving it there for the next 20 years and have somebody ask why or this, when I think if it is something that they're supposed to be doing independent, which they probably are, then I think we should put it on somebody's tickle file to follow up during this coming year to make sure that gets done, so next year we can take it off of our list, because it's not one that really is like these other subordinate bodies that are part of the county organization. They're an independent district in operation.
That's a
Yeah.
good point, because the
That
PIT
would-
RCD isn't on here.
No,
Yeah.
it was just done because there was so
There was-
much going on at that point in time. And also, Retta just mentioned the LRA should also be removed.
Yeah, because that's been abolished as well, yeah.
Yep, we can make all those changes.
Okay, well, that's the reason why I
Anything
pulled it off, is that list, it seemed like anybody had commented on it, so. With those changes, Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we adopt item G3.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to G5, personnel. This is a assistant associate transportation planner job description.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I asked this be pulled out because I saw that, and given the fact that we had the Transportation Commission meeting yesterday, and really when it comes to all these duties and functions that are listed here, and the function of this position, and the purpose of having a position, is in conjunction working with the transportation program, which we have a separate board and entity to do that. And obviously that entity is contracted with us as a county to provide service. It doesn't require that the county necessarily do that. And I was kind of concerned why this wasn't shared with the commission as to what they see the position doing. We did have some discussion, and Mr. Millar did report to the a commission that Mr. Douglas had retired, and then that the position would be filled. But I think in terms of the nature of this agenda item, why that wasn't a part of it. And then the other parts of the question I have on page 1, it talks about making presentations to the Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, Lassen County Transportation Authority, Lassen County Transit Agency. I think we also should include the City Council, because the person works basically half the money and half the program that the position is responsible for.